So good afternoon, everybody. I've been sitting here since morning, and I've been listening to the presentations since the morning. And I've noticed that everybody's been talking about very macro level stuff, about Indian economy, about the way the government works. I'm here to talk about something very basic. I've been an entrepreneur for 2 years now, and I feel that there are certain challenges that every entrepreneur faces. Okay, every entrepreneur, especially a first generation entrepreneur like me, will face a capital challenge. Getting a seed capital to get started, building a team. Okay, so these are challenges that everybody faces. But I thought that I'll share some very basic challenges which I believe most entrepreneurs face. Okay, some everyday issues that I mean, whoever is an entrepreneur in the hall will be able to relate to. Okay, I run a book publishing company, which is a very operationally heavy business. Okay, starting from getting content till the point that the book reaches a reader's hands. So there are lots and lots of operational hassles which a book goes through. Okay, and in the process of setting up the whole value chain, I've gone through certain challenges, and five of the most interesting ones of those I'd want to share with you. So I'd want to start with the, oops. So I'd want to start with my own story. After MBA, after I was a student of Dr. Kapoor, I joined JSW Steel and worked in the corporate for 1.5 years. I was in a place called Torunagallu. Okay, and if you're having any images in your head that how would a place called Torunagallu would look like, then trust me, it was weirder than that. And I spent 1.5 years. I'm a Delhi boy, born and brought up in Delhi. So I was thrown in a place like that. And I mean, to give you an idea how, as Kevin used a phrase, in the middle of nowhere, that place was. So if I wanted a plastic bucket, I had to go to Hospet or Bellary, both of which were around 50 kilometers from Torunagallu. So I spent a very interesting 1.5 years there, and oops, yeah. So while I was in the B school, all my friends used to tell me that I was born to be an entrepreneur, and I think ever since I was 17, I'd had canteen discussions with my friends that what would be my first venture like. But the actual act of resigning is something which is quite challenging, and I was working in the steel industry, and going from steel to I mean, ever since I think I made my first business plan for a publishing house at the age of 20. I mean, publishing was the only thing I ever knew anything about. So going from steel to publishing was a big step, and resigning was definitely a big challenge. So Confucius has said that choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. Okay, ever since I was 8 or 9, I've loved reading. Books are the only things that I've loved. Okay, I love to play football, but apart from that, books are the only things I've ever loved. Okay, and then one fine day I muster the courage, and then I just say that, okay, I'm going to resign. One fine day I wake up without a business plan. I wake up, I go to my boss's office, and I come back to Delhi after resigning. So, okay, so I come back to Delhi and I lay the foundation of Grapevine India Publishers, which is what the company is called. So, oops, yeah. So as I said, I'm going to share 5 challenges which I believe I've shared, very basic, very day to day. Okay, I believe some of them would be able, some of you would be able to relate to them. So the first challenge that I faced was parents. Okay, I was 24 when I resigned, and as I said, I was going to move from steel to publishing. According to my parents, I knew nothing about publishing. In fact, I think they were definitely right. I knew nothing about publishing. I had already published a book with some other publisher, which led me to believe that I know something. But in hindsight, I really didn't know anything. And I was living in Torunagallu before I resigned. Okay, even if you're sitting in Delhi, doing groundwork is a lot of work. And doing it from Torunagallu, which is 50 kilometers from the nearest internet connection, is a big challenge. Okay, so I resigned and came to Delhi, and my parents basically had 3 major concerns. First one was that how will you get married now? Okay, and it was a big concern. It still continues to be a point of debate between us. So, so second point was that how will you pay your student loan, which is a very valid concern. And third was that how will you buy a flat? Like, I don't know. A lot of parents have this dream that their son will go on to be somebody well established. So, so my solution to tackling these challenges was that to tell them after resigning. I mean, not to give them an option. So, I told them after a week after I resigned that I've resigned while I was in the notice period. Told them that in 2 weeks I'm coming back to Delhi and I'll be doing something of my own. And I came to Delhi, okay, and I started doing the groundwork. I started doing the running around, okay. And the first step for most businesses is to find an office, okay. And we basically had two criteria for the office that we were looking for. The first criteria was that it should have a lot of space, okay, because books occupy space. If you were to print around 40,000 books, keeping them requires a lot of space, say around 1,000 foot of area. And the second criteria was obviously that it should be very cheap. The rent shouldn't dig a hole into our pocket. In another way, I'd been lucky that I'd been working in Torunagallu because I was able to save my salary and collect some initial capital to get the business started. So we started doing the rounds. I was introduced to the world of brokers, and he took us to some places. Okay, and finally, one fine day, he took us to a place called Pandav Nagar. Any of you have heard of Pandav Nagar? It's a place close to Narayana. Okay, and when I told people around me that we are thinking of going to Pandav Nagar, so the first thing I was told was that it has extremely high crime rate. Okay, I was told disclaimers like, don't talk on the phone while you're walking on the street because people will snatch your phone and run away. Okay, female employees were out of the picture, and I mean, it was a very sort of very unusual area for a publishing house. Okay, so this is, oops. Yeah, so this is what Pandav Nagar looked like. We took around 1,000 foot square of area over there. And to give you an idea of, yeah. So this thing has a mind of its own. Don't blame me, so yeah. So this is one of the boards we saw outside one of the buildings. यहाँ पर गाड़ी चुराना मना है, sort of saying that it will stop a thief from stealing because there's a board like this. Okay, so we took a space. We started. We set up an office, and we sort of began to get operational. Okay, so I'm sure many of you would know that books have an ISBN number at the back. And the process of getting that for a publishing house is that you have to go to a government office somewhere in RK-Puram and apply for it. Okay, we did the same. We went to the office. We applied for a list of ISBN numbers. And the guy at the office told us that you will get it by government post at your address. Okay, and we applied sometime in early August. Okay, and the process was supposed to take around 2 or 3 days. Okay, we waited till end of August, and the post never came. Okay. So I went to the local post office asking him that why are we not getting our posts? So he says, "Bina chai pani we to nahi ho payega." So basically he said ki you need to give us a list of documents, okay, that to make us recognize you as an address, okay. And I was 24 years old, as I said, and I had just started out, and I was pretty sure that bribe was not something I wanted to start with, okay. So I tweeted my experience that what do I do now that this guy won't give me posts without accepting a bribe. So Twitter is a very, very dynamic place. So 3 or 4 people replied the same thing, that this is where an RTI comes in. You can ask him that you use an RTI and tell him that you can't do that. So I threatened him, and actually the post got delivered within a week after that without any bribes. So yeah, so this is challenge number 3, getting post delivered. The fourth and a very obvious challenge was building a distribution channel across the country. Okay, imagine starting from zero and making your books reach every corner of India. Okay, with a team which, I mean, even till now we've not hired anybody from the publishing industry. We hired only from people only outside the publishing industries. Okay, and starting with a team like that and building a distribution channel across the country. Okay, and I think what we did was that we sort of went to every road in India which has any distributor or any wholesaler selling books. Okay, we went around 8 cities over a period of 2 months. Okay, meeting people, seeking help, networking, requesting, sometimes begging. So, I mean, so building a distribution channel across India is a big challenge. Okay, and I mean, even after 2 years, even after becoming some sort of a brand, it's still a challenge. I mean, we're still reaching new territories. For example, now the next challenge is to go international, make our books reach UK, US, and the Middle East. Okay. And then the fifth challenge is getting recognized. Dr. Kapoor just mentioned that the industry is really taking up notice of us. Okay, and publishing is a very tricky business in the sense that a lot of times people go for brands, and I'm talking about authors. Okay, like authors are very brand specific. They really want to get associated with a certain brand, even though a smaller publisher might be offering a better value proposition. Okay, so now that we had the machinery, the next challenge was to really establish a brand. Okay, so we thought that what we really need is one tumbling bestseller. Okay, one bestseller which will sort of make everybody take notice. Okay, and I'd say that we've been able to do that to some extent. My fourth book came out in June 2013, which is around 3 months back. Okay, and we did a first print run of 60,000. Okay, and the book got a lot of recognition. I'm sharing some images of Hindustan Times bestseller list. Okay, they collect data from retailers across the country, so it's real sales data on which this bestseller list is based. It's been around 12 weeks since the book came out. No, 10 weeks since the book came out, and it's been either number 1, 2, or 3 since the time it's come out. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you.